Hello dear friends, welcome back to the legendary channel where we dive into fantastic topics every video. I'm thrilled to have you here for another discussion. Today we're turning our attention to my home country, Ukraine. In the recent times you might heard a lot about it due to the war that Russia starts against Ukraine. But there is so much more to Ukraine than just that. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about. We will debunk 5 common myths about Ukraine and replace them with solid, undeniable facts. As a Ukrainian, I assure you that all insights I will share in this video is straight from the horse's mouth. So let's dive in. Let's start with the myth that is doing the rounds for a while now. Some folks believe that Ukraine is a part of Russia. I can explain you where this misconception comes from. Ukraine and Russia share a long and complex history. Our languages bear similarity and there are some overlaps in our culture. But here is the real deal. Since 1991, the Ukraine has been fully independent country. We have got our own government, our own laws, and our own national symbols. Similar scenarios have unfolded elsewhere in the world. Think about Nigeria, a British colony until 1960, or about the Democratic Republic of Congo, which was under the Belgian rule under the same year. But today, no one would argue that Nigeria is a part of Great Britain. Am I right? It's absolutely the same as with Ukraine and Russia. Just as Nigeria is now not a part of the British colony and is an independent country, the same is for Ukraine. Ukraine is not a part of Russia, it's a fully independent country. Ukrainian culture and history are distinct and rich. For example, we have the beautiful, intricate art of pisanki, traditional hand-painted eggs, and a rich literary tradition with writers like Lesya Ukrainka and Ivan Franko. And a lot more. Don't get me started on the music, dance, foods and others. Ukraine even won a Eurovision in the previous year in 2022.
The Eurovision Song Contest 2022 is Ukraine!
Ukraine is a sovereign country with its own rights, with its own identity, with its own rich history and traditions. Myth that Ukraine is part of Russia is far from the truth and busted. Moving on to the next myth that Ukraine is a very small, teeny country. In reality, Ukraine is the largest country that located entirely in Europe. Yes, you heard me right, the largest country. It's even bigger than France, which always gets the credit as largest. Ukraine covers over 60,000 square kilometers. That's quite a chunk of island, isn't it? And the population is almost 44 million of people. And it's not just about the size, it's also about the variety. The landscape in Ukraine is really diverse. In the west, you have got the Carpathian Mountains, a beautiful region filled with peaks and valleys, forests and streams. It's a great place for hiking, skiing or just enjoying the natural beauty. Then, if you go south, you'll reach the coastlines along the Black Sea. Here you will find cities like Odessa, known for its sandy beaches and vibrant nightlife. The plains in the between are filled with vast fields of wheat, sunflowers or other crops. Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe, for a reason of course. But it's not just about the nature. Ukraine's cities, from the ancient capital of Kiev to the cultural hub of Lviv, are filled with history, architectural treasures and cultural life. And I just talked about a few cities, while Ukraine has thousands of them, and each of them has unique identity and unique history. So all in all, calling Ukraine a small country really doesn't do it justice. It's a large, diverse and vibrant country with so much to offer. The myth that Ukraine is small busted. Now here is the myth that will surprise you. Ukraine is technologically backward. But what is the reality? The reality is that Ukraine is not just strong, it's a powerhouse. Did you know that it is one of the biggest exporters of IT services in the world? Big and small companies worldwide turn to Ukraine for software development and IT outsourcing. We have a deep talent pool with tens of thousands of IT graduates who join the workforce every year. And it's not just about serving other countries. Ukraine have its own buzzing startup scene. Many successful tech startups have their roots right here. Ever heard of Grammarly, the writing assistant app? It's one of the world's most popular app in its niche. Or maybe you know GitLab, the web-based DevOps lifecycle tool. How about the Deposit Photos, one of the world's leading photo banks? All of these successful startups were born in Ukraine, and this is just a few examples. But here is the real game changer. Did you know that Ukraine is the first country in the world who digitalized the government services into just one single app? Yes, that's right, just one single mobile app. The app called as Dia, which translates as Держава и я. In English it will be State and Me. From driver's licenses to passports, from tax services to registering a business, even a COVID vaccination certificate. All you can do it in just one app. You do not need to have any paper documents with you while you are in Ukraine. All that you need to have is just one app. It's a groundbreaking project that made life so much easier for millions of Ukrainians. And it's a shining example on how Ukraine is leveraging technologies to improve and simplify people's lives. So next time you hear that someone tell you that Ukraine is technologically backward, you can tell them, actually it's one of the most forward-thinking countries in the world when it comes to technologies. Or just tell them to Google about the Dia mobile app. Myth that Ukraine is technologically backward is busted. Next on the list is myth that Ukrainian language is the same as Russian. But is it true or no? Both of these languages belong to the East Slavic group of languages, and they do share some common roots. They may even sound similar to an untrained ear, but that's where the similarities end. Ukrainian and Russian are distinct languages and each with unique features. Here is the analogy. English and German belongs to the same Germanic group. They share some words and grammar features, but they're not the same, right? Another good example is the situation between Malaysian and Indonesian languages. They both originated from the same linguistic family and are mutually intelligible to a high degree. If you were to hear them side by side without a prior knowledge, you might even think that they are the same. But just as with Ukrainian and Russian, while Indonesian and Malaysian languages share the same grammar and can share the same words, they are distinct languages. Each has its own vocabulary, pronunciation and spelling rules. Certain words might mean different things in each languages, and there are terms that are exclusive to each one. Ukrainian has its own pronunciation, vocabulary and writing rules that you will not meet in the Russian language. Some words might be similar or even identical, but there are plenty that completely different. And then there is the alphabet. Both languages use a version of the Cyrillic script, but there are some letters that exists only in Ukrainian and some that exists only in Russian. Language is a big part of national identity for Ukrainians. It's deeply tied to our history, literature, songs and folklore. In recent years, there has been a growing emphasis in promoting Ukrainian languages in social media and in the public life as well. So it's understandable that some people might get confused, but saying that Ukrainian and Russian language are the same is like saying that French and Spanish are the same languages. The myth that Ukrainian language is the same as Russian busted. Finally, let's talk about the food. You have probably heard that Ukrainian cuisine is just only about the borscht and vareniki. Now don't get me wrong, borscht, that hearty, battered soup and vareniki, those delicious dumplings, are indeed beloved classics. If you visit Ukraine, you should definitely try them. But to say there is all that is to Ukrainian cuisine, it's like reducing American cuisine just to burgers and hot dogs, or Italian cuisine just to pizza and pasta. Of course, these dishes are iconic, but that's just the top of the iceberg. Ukrainian cuisine is as diverse as the country itself. It's a celebration of our rich agricultural bounty, with a wide variety of fruits, vegetables, grains and meats. For instance, have you heard about голубцы? These are cabbage rolls filled with rice and meat, slow cooked until they are tender and flavorful. Or what about deruny? These crispy potato pancakes that are just perfect on a cold day. And let's not forget about Ukrainian array of sausages like kovbasa or different types of bread, including pampushki, fully garlic rolls often served with borscht. And let's not even start on honey cakes, fruit pies and other pastries. There is a whole world of flavors to explore in the Ukrainian cuisine. So while borscht and vareniki might be the most famous ambassadors of the Ukrainian cuisine, they are just the start. It's a culinary journey that is well worth taking. If you are interested in the Ukrainian dishes and you want to dive in, just let me know in the comments and I will record a separate video about the Ukrainian cuisine and its most famous dishes. Myth that Ukrainian cuisine is just borscht and vareniki is busted. Before we wrap up this video, I want to touch on a very serious matter. As you may know, Ukraine is currently under the pressure of war. A war that was started by Russia. This war significantly impacts the economic and lives of millions of Ukrainians, disrupting daily activities, causing a great deal of suffering and even taking lives. In this time of crisis, Ukraine needs all possible support. Every bit helps, no matter how small it might seem. As a united front, we can make a huge difference. If you are in position to help, I'd like to share the official link on how you can help and donate to Ukraine. The website is called as United24, and here you can choose to donate to various causes such as defense, humanitarian demining, medical aid, rebuilding Ukraine, or education and science. Remember, every bit helps, and your contribution can make a significant impact. In the face of adversity, the spirit of the Ukrainian people remains resilient. We are strong, we are united, and with your support, we will overcome these challenging times. So if you want to be the part of this story and contribute to helping Ukraine, you can follow the link in the description to this video. Thank you for your time and for joining me in this journey through the facts and myths about the Ukraine. I hope this video has given you a deeper insight into the rich culture, history and character of the Ukraine. If you have any questions or there is something more you want to know about the Ukraine, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I'll be sure to answer all your comments, and perhaps some of the comments will inspire me for making a new video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to stay updated with my latest content. Of course, subscribe to my Instagram account where I am sharing my daily life in Bali and talking with you. All the links you will find in the description to the video. Your support means a lot to me. Take care of yourself and remember, you are legendary. Until the next time.